All right, so this one's going to be all about assignments. Let me share my screen and we'll get going. All right. Can you see that okay?
I can.
All right, great. Okay. Okay, so assignments are going to be anything that's graded or potentially graded. So you'll have just general assignments that'll be considered assignments. Discussions can be assignments if they're graded. Quizzes can be assignments if they're graded. So really anything in that realm that you're going to be assigning a grade to is what we're going to cover today. So I'm going to grab one of my sandboxes here. And this has the template, which I'll cover on Monday's training on how to get that. But it's just our house-made kind of template for each page that you'll see. So it's got like a home page that you can fill in with your own personal information, quick links that you can customize. So we'll go through all of this and where to find it and how to use it on Monday. I'm going to jump right into the assignments tab. So with the template, you'll get a sample of each of the categories. So you'll get a sample assignment, you'll get a sample discussion, and a sample quiz. And then you could duplicate those as needed to create as many as you want. So I'm going to start with the basics, which is just an assignment. So I'm going to grab one that I already have created here. And so it's going to look as basic or as designed as you want it to be and as much as you put into it. So this one I have no directions really, just kind of has the points and I attached a rubric to it. So I'm going to go in and grab one that we can customize. Give me 1 second here. Just do a new one. Okay, so every assignment is going to have a name. So I'll just call this guy sample assignment. You don't have to give instructions, but you're welcome to. Everywhere that you have a text box, can't spell today. Anywhere that you have a text box, you're going to get the rich content editor. So you're going to all those design features. So you can, bold, italics, colors, everything you want to do. You can also attach things. So if you have links that you want to insert, images would be the next one over. Media, whether it's a audio file or a video, you can also record too. We have a built-in record option, so you could attach it or you could click over to record. My camera's being used right now for Zoom, so it's not going to pick it up, but you would see it there if it wasn't being used. And you could record a little video if you wanted to do directions audio. And then any documents. So you can upload documents right from your device. You can also attach them if you have them in your course somewhere else. So you've already uploaded them, maybe already to your files. You can grab them here by searching through your course. And you can also go into the user files, which will pull up all of your files across all of your courses. I've been with Niagara for many years, so I'm not even going to pull that up because it's a nightmare. And then we have a few other features. So you might use these like whiteboards, which is Lucid. And if you need to embed anything, you can do that. Any of your apps that you have already integrated for your course. So if you're using like McGraw-Hill or Pearson, they have some lab things that can be integrated. So that's where you'd find all that stuff is in this section. So that'll be different per user.
Nice.
So you can do however you want here with your directions. You can type things in, you can copy and paste, you can just link a PDF or a Word document that has instructions. It's totally up to you. If you're going to upload something, let me just grab that sample assignment that I made the other day. It's going to load it and it'll look like a link if you leave it that way. You can also click on it and then go to your link options and have it display so that it will expand. And I'll show you what that looks like. Let me save it, click so it loads. And so it would expand then and show like a full preview of what it looks like. So students could just scroll through it then or download it if they wanted to, if it's like a file that they'll need for the assignment. So that's just a little overview on the rich content editor. Excuse me, I do have a tickle in my throat, so I'm trying to pause, mute myself so I don't cough in your ear. So if I am quiet for a second, that's probably why. So I apologize for that. And then you're going to decide how much it's worth, right? So this is points. So you might be a person that's doing points value. You could be doing percentages. Some professors do letter grades. Totally up to you how you do it. And we're going to do a whole section on grading that'll break down your different options. But that's where you're going to put how much this assignment is worth here. I typically keep mine out of 100 just to keep it easy and consistent, but that's up to you. Groups, we're going to talk about in a second, but you can group all of your different assignments in different categories for weights. So if you know that maybe you want all of your assignments to be 20%, all of your exams are going to be 30, papers are another 30, however you want to break that down. You can assign them into groups and you don't have to. You can just keep it as one, it'll just be assignments. But I'll show you that in a minute. And then you also get to pick how you want it to be displayed. I recommend kind of having one that you use across the whole course. But again, it's up to you. It just is less confusing for the students and it works out a little nicer as far as the percentages and the points go. But you could do percentages. You can do just complete or incomplete. That would be, they'd get whole credit if it was complete and 0 if it was not. Points again, it's pretty straightforward. Letter grades, if you're like an ABC person, you can go with that. And we have a built-in one. This is the university's grading scheme. You can also pick your own, so you can view it there. You can also create your own if you don't like it, but this is just the university's standard, but different departments have their own too, so you can customize that as much as you need to. You're doing grades. GPA scale, not many people do it, but if you want to do the 4.0 scale, you're welcome to. And then if it's not graded, that's an option too. And please feel free to jump in if you have questions. A lot of times you might have something that's like extra credit or something that they have to do that they're really not getting points for, but it's a requirement or like a build up to a final, like maybe a draft, and they don't get points until a final. So you could choose to not count it towards the final grade if you wanted to as well. Next, we're going to talk about the different ways that you can submit things. So the most common is online. So that's where they'd be uploading or typing in, like maybe they're uploading a PowerPoint or they're uploading a Word or a PDF document. They can also submit recordings or audio files, website URLs. So if they are making a Google Doc and they want to just share the Google Doc with you, so it's something maybe they're going to work on through the whole semester, that's an option. Student annotation here is where you would give them a file. So like maybe you give them a sample essay and they have to correct it. Something that education will use a lot. I don't see a whole lot of other departments using it as much, but you pick the file that they get uploaded and then they get to go through and annotate it and recommend corrections and such. So
And do they have like Kami or like how would they annotate like a PDF if I had that in there?
So we have, I'm going to show you in a minute. It's called SpeedGrader. It's built in. And they have their own version of it. No, you're good. Those are good questions. Yeah. As we go through it, I'll show you what our SpeedGrader looks like, and they get the same thing when they're annotating. So they'll have the same features. So and they could also choose to download it and annotate it in like Word or something and then re-upload it. It's just going to give them that option to use the built-in annotation. And then file upload is the most common, honestly, because typically it's like a paper or a PowerPoint presentation if they're doing an oral presentation or something, and then they have to upload it at the end. So that's the most common. And the text entry would just give them a box like this where they could type. They could format it however you want them to, but it's just a rich content editor. So those are the most commonly used ones. No submission would be something that maybe is happening in class or it's like an oral exam, something like that. They're not physically turning anything in. Or on paper, I guess would be like an in-class, an in-class quiz or something. If you have any external tools, so if you're working with a textbook that has like My Pearson Lab or anything like that, you'll be able to find those here if they're already integrated. And if not, I'll need to work with you and your rep to see what it is. They'll have to be approved. So this is everything that's been used in the past and is approved. So chances are yours is probably in there if you're using one, but if not, we can meet after this and take a look at what you're using. But that's where you'd link it. So if you're going to build something in like Pearson Lab, and then you needed to link to Canvas, you'd use external tool for that. Mission attempts, so you can choose, do they get unlimited attempts up until the due date? Do you want to limit it to like 1 or 2 submissions? Personally, I like to just let them go. They can keep making changes until it's due. So I do unlimited. But as soon as the due date hits, they can't submit any more past that. So that's a preference and how you want the assignment to flow. And then the assign to, so it gets assigned to everyone automatically. if you have somebody who has accommodations, or maybe the athletes, they have a game that's coming up, so they're gonna miss a day, and so they get like an extra day or something, you can choose to assign it just to a student or two separately with separate due dates. But it always defaults to everyone. And then if you set no due date, that means they can turn it in any time from the moment the semester starts until you conclude the class. So you can set a due date. You can also choose when it's going to be available. So if I want it to be due, say, maybe it's going to be due on the 20th, it always defaults to 11:59, so the last minute of the day. You can change that if you want to. But maybe you don't want them to start working on it until you give the instructions the week before. So you can choose that it's not available until, maybe my class is at 1 p.m. on the 13th, and then they won't be able to see it until then. And then if you want it to close anytime throughout the semester, that'd be the until but. So maybe you'll take it a few days late, but you don't want to take it too late. So maybe 2 days or something like that. So they won't be able to submit or anything after that point. And again, you could leave these completely open if you want to, if you don't force due dates, or if you don't really care when they start seeing it or how late they can see it. A lot of graduates classes will have a due date, but it's available whenever, and really they'll take it late up until the end of the semester. So they'll just have a due date and leave the other two blank, which is pretty common in the graduate level. Any questions so far?
I just had one, and it may be there. If I just save it, is there an option to schedule it? So let's say I want to do this and I don't want to post it until after we've had that day's lecture. Is there a save?
That'd be the available.
Oh, that would be that one. Okay.
Yep.
So
you can also save it, and they can't, they'll see it. I'll show you what it looks like. Oh, sorry. I picked, I'd have to pick a tool if I picked that one. So if I pick, it's not, I gotta make it. Yeah, that's the future date. Okay. So I'll still show you, let me save and publish this. And I'll show you what it looks like from the student's end. So I'm going to go into student view now. And so that's all they'll see. They'll see that they have assignment coming up. They won't see any of the details, but they'll see when it's going to be due and when it's available. Yeah. And then if you don't want them to see even that, I would say leave it unpublished. So it's, as soon as you hit save and publish, it publishes. You can unpublish it as long as there's no submissions. As soon as the first person submits, you can't unpublish it though. All right, and then if you're doing a paper, so if you're doing an online submission of some sort, a few more options will pop up. So I do want to talk about those quick. So we have Turnitin here, and I have a whole little video. If you're new to Turnitin, it's like 4 minutes long, I want to say, or maybe 6. And it walks you through all the settings of Turnitin. Kind of too much to try to add into this one, so I just shoot that off to faculty for them to watch at their own pace. But this is our plagiarism check and our AI detection. I always say you got to take it with a grain of salt. It's AI checking AI. So it's really meant to just be a conversation starter. But that is our software that we have for that. And so if you were using an online submission where they're uploading a file or typing something, then you'd be able to turn it in on and pick your settings. And so I can shoot you that little video if you'd like to use it.
Definitely. Thank you.
Yeah. And then if you're turning in a paper online, you also get group assignment options and peer review. Group assignments would be, you want to preset your groups. So you want to decide who's going to be in which group, and you're going to get one submission. So if you have 4 people in the group, you're only going to get one paper. So you really don't want to use this if that's what you're looking for. If you want them to work in groups, but each still turn into their individual review, their own individual work, I would not use the group setting. So you can just pre-assign them yourself and kind of post it like as a document on Canvas of who's working with who. But as soon as you make it a group assignment, the system only allows one submission for that group. So, and then peer review. So if you want them to review each other's work, assignments are meant for your eyes only. So you will only ever see the students' work, and students won't be able to see each other's. That'd be a discussion. But you can have it so that maybe they peer review 1 or 2 other students' work, and that's what you'd set up here. So if you're going to use it, you can choose if you want to manually or automatically assign them, and then how many they're going to do. So if you want them to do 1 or 2, you can set it there, and then the date that they're going to get assigned those. So that should typically be after the due date down below. If you're using automatic and you're going to take it late, I would recommend giving it a few days because you will get some late submissions, and then it's going to automatically assign it. If anything comes in late after that, they won't be included in the automatic. So I just like to warn everybody if they're going to do that. But and you can also choose it to allow them to peer review anonymously if you'd like. So just a few extra things that come up if you're choosing paper. So any general questions about assignments?
Just one question about that group assignment, and we'll probably get to that later too, but in terms of grades, is I put that in as an assignment, but I only get one paper, would it still allow for a grade for each student?
Yes, yeah, you can still like, so if you know, like maybe they're working in class and you can tell that, John is doing way more work than, Jessica or something, then you can choose to grade differently, but you're just going to get one submission. Yeah.
Nice option.
Yeah. So, all right. So I guess we can save that. So when you check things, there's some things you have to check if you check one. Um, so those are individual assignments. And we're going to jump over and look at what discussions would look like. So discussions are for everyone's eyes. So they're not just yours. So let me pull one up that I have here. So this is what the template looks like. So you can, again, customize this. If you don't want to use a section, you just delete it. You just come in here, click the 3 dots and go to edit. But this will come if you're using our template in Canvas. And so you can choose, I'm gonna make this a little bit bigger for us. So like if you don't want to worry about the technical support, maybe they're not using anything that they would need that for, you can get it off. Maybe you just want what the prompt is and the guidelines. You can totally wipe this clean and just do a blank one and add your own things. But again, you'll get the rich content editor. You'll have a spot to put the prompt and the directions. And then it's going to drop down to your options. So running through these quick. If you're using anonymous, you can't use graded. So it's like one or the other. If you're grading them, you have to obviously know who wrote it. So, but if it's maybe you're just looking for some feedback quick and you throw a discussion up there and you don't really care who said what and you just want to know, like maybe you're moving classes for the day or, looking for a time or something that everybody can meet outside class time, things like that. You could leave it anonymous if you'd like to. So those are why that's grayed out. So threaded replies, so it's just like on Facebook where if somebody replies to a comment, you can reply to that comment and not into the main thing. So it just kind of threads off into different conversations. So that's turned on automatically, but you can turn it off if you don't like it. This one's really nice. I like to check this because I want them to have their own original thought, right? I don't want them to read what everybody else wrote first before replying themselves. So if you check that, they'd have to reply before they can see everyone else's replies and then respond. So I typically use that one a lot. Podcast feed, if you're somebody who's into podcasts, you can choose to allow that. You have to start with a podcast up at the top. So you'd have to add a media file of some sort to it. But then they could use that if they'd like to. Liking, it's just, like on Facebook, you can like something. So you can turn that off if you don't want it. And then again, it could be a group discussion, but you're only going to get one reply for that group. So, and then just a few things of how they're going to look. So it always, I'm sorry, excuse me. The default is for it to be collapsed. So they wouldn't see comments underneath the initial post from the student, but you can choose for it to be expanded. You can also just click on each one. It's really up to you how you want it to look. The order, it always goes with whoever posted most recent is at the top. So you can choose if you want it to be reversed. And then if it's graded, this will pop up down here. So you can assign the points and how they're going to display, just how like what we did for assignments, what group they go in, all of that. You can also do peer reviews. So if you know that you have like groups of friends in class and you don't want them to always be reviewing their own, you could assign so they're not always reviewing their friends' work or something. So you could assign who they're going to reply to using peer review. And then if you'd want to have due dates and all that, that's available as well. So any questions on discussions?
That was pretty straightforward. Thanks.
Yeah, so they don't have to be graded. So like if you, the template will come with a, okay, will come with a Q&A. And that's just for general questions from students. So let me get back to the main page here. So it comes with a Q&A. So it's just a student can throw a question up there and then you could reply and everybody can see it, but it's not graded. So that's like an example of when you would use them if they're not graded. AI summaries is new. It's something that's in the features. So it's made it out of beta testing and it's now a featured option. And it does give an AI summary of the whole discussion to students. You can turn that off if you are somebody who does not want AI in your class at all. Go into settings and then on featured options, it is, there it is, discussion summaries. You just turn that off there and then they would not be able to use that feature. But it comes on now. It's Canvas is starting to push AI into it so slowly. So that's how to turn it off if you don't want those summaries on there. And then you can pin. So like if you want specific, it's always going to default to the most recent activity. So like whoever somebody responded to 5 more recent, that would be at the top. If you want something pinned to the top, you can just drag and drop it up. And so it'll always be like the first that they see. I'm just going to check my notes to make sure I didn't miss anything for discussions. Nope, I think that's, nope, that looks like everything. Any questions, concerns?
No, not at this point.
All right. I'm going to dive into quizzes next. So quizzes, couple options. I'm going to start with just a new one. You can use quizzes as graded, obviously, as a quiz. Jumping down here to the types. So a practice quiz would be something that they're not getting grade for and it would not show up in your grade book. So if you want them to do, if you're going to be using Respondus, which is our monitoring software, and you want them to take a practice quiz first, but it's not going to be graded, you don't need it in your grade book, that's how you use that one. Graded is what most people will use. And then surveys, so you can use them as graded or ungraded. These are going to be more short answer kind of things. So you might want to do an ungraded survey to, poll the audience if you want, like a poll for an asynchronous course. So really just pick what works for you. I'd say 90% of the time you're going to go with graded. But same thing, you'll have to give it a name, any instructions that you want to give it. If you want to attach any files that they'll be using for the quiz, you can do that there. Shuffling answers would mean that your option A is not my option A. Mine could be B. So if you've got 4, it'll just randomize the answer order. So it'll help with cheating ideally. Time limits, I would say definitely want to give a time limit because if a student starts it and if you don't have a due date window, like maybe they can start at any time. Once they start it, they'll have 3 weeks to finish it if you don't give it a time limit. So if you want them to they can take it any time in the next, semester. But you want them to take it at that moment, you're gonna want to set a time limit so that they can't, otherwise it's open for up to 3 weeks. Or you can limit it down here as well with when it's available and due. So we'll talk about that in a second. But recommend giving time limits so they, maybe it doesn't matter if they take it on Tuesday of this week or Friday towards the end of the semester, that's fine, but you want them to only have 30 minutes whenever they start it. That's the goal there. Multiple attempts is exactly what it sounds like. You can choose, or you keep in the highest or the most recent, or you can take an average of the two, and how you can limit it to how many. If you don't want it to be unlimited and maybe only 2 attempts, you can do that as well. Do you want them to see their answers and which ones they got right and wrong? And if you do you want them to see the correct answers as well? It's up to you. I recommend usually leaving this off until everyone's done. You can go back in and then turn this on after the fact, or you can preset a time. So if it's past your due date. But the first one, letting them see their responses if they know that they got, question 4 wrong, and they were between two answers, that's kind of letting them know that what their answer would be, and they could, turn around and tell their friend or whatever. So totally up to the professor and how they want to use that. Showing questions one at a time. So maybe if your questions build on each other and you don't want them to be able to go back, you could choose to lock it. So once they answer question 1 and move on to question 2, they can't come back. Or you just want them to focus on question 1, but they can still flip between it, then you would leave the lock off, but just show it one at a time. Otherwise, they'll scroll through them all, just like I'm scrolling through this page now, and they can see, all 20 if there's 20 questions. Access codes, typically you wouldn't use these I'd say the most times you would use these is if you want them to watch something first. If you go through a PowerPoint or watch a video, and then at the end of that, that's when you'd have what the code is to take the quiz. That's the most commonly used for access codes because they can't start it until they get that. So you either have to email it out at a certain time. Some professors want to make sure that students are in class, and so they just put it on the board. So they can't take the quiz until if they're remote, whatever the case may be there, but that's an option if you'd like it. Filtering IP address, I'm going to advise you to stay away from this, but if you're having issues with thinking that someone else is taking an exam for a student, you can use this feature. We really don't use it at all here. We did a little bit at Duvo when I was there, but you can filter by IP address if that's necessary. And then again, your assigned to windows are all here. So same things before. When it's due, when can they first start it, and when's it close for everyone. This is also where you can help with any accommodations. So if you have a student that gets extra time, you can, but you want everybody to take it everyone's got to start at 1 o'clock on Tuesday. You can do that and set the available window a little bit later. You're also going to want to just save and publish this guy. Oops, hang on. You're also going to want to go in and moderate this. So if you have somebody who has, again, extra time, let's say Johnny Test here gets extra time. Oh, wait, hang on. I didn't set it. That's probably why. Let me grab a different one that's already got everything set up. I don't have availability times or time limits on that one. Let's see. There we go. Okay. So you can choose here if they're going to have extra attempts. So if you have somebody who has a computer glitch or something and it doesn't work, typically you'd call me to look into it to make sure the student didn't actually get into the exam, but then you could give them another attempt so without having to reassign it or duplicate the quiz. And once you have time limits, I didn't grab one that has a time limit, you'll be able to give extra time there as well. So if I go into, I'll grab a different course quick. There we go. There we go. So this one's 20 minutes long. So if maybe Stephanie is, she gets time and a half, so I have to give her an extra 10 minutes. I would do that there and save it. And so then you'd see it here that she gets extra time. So that's how you do your accommodations in classic quizzes. Now let me get back to my other one.
I just have a couple of questions about that.
Certainly, yeah.
So
yeah.
Normally I would have my quizzes set up on Google. Can I link that in this assignment, or is that something I should?
You have them set up where?
Like on a Google form. Like if I was doing a simple quiz, the form would have the 10 questions, the answers in that. So then it's graded automatically. It's,
Well, we're only allowed to use one LMS. That's like a Board of Regents. So we can't actually give quizzes. I guess as long as you're pushing the final grade back to your grade book here, but it's not secure.
Okay, so then that's all right. That's why I'm asking. I'm like, okay, so we're not going to do that.
Yeah. So I'm going to show you, that's what I'm going to show you next is how to build out the questions.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Jumping ahead again.
No, you're good. You're good. So you'll see on quizzes, you get 2 tabs. So you've got the details tab, which is what we just went through, where you set all your settings. And then your questions tab
Ah,
is where you're going to actually put these questions in.
okay. So then I would just
Um,
copy and paste them, the questions in here or whatever
yeah,
for that format.
yeah.
Okay,
So
perfect.
it's defaults to multiple choice for the first time, and then whatever your most recent one is what the next one defaults to. So you'd put your prompt in the text box here, comes with 4 answer options automatically. You can delete them if you only want 3. You can add more if you need more than 4. You can add up to 15, I believe it is. And then the correct answer is what the arrow is designating. So if you're doing multiple answer, that would be this guy here. And then you'd be able to pick more than one option. So multiple choice is typically the most common true false. It's just going to default to 2 and give you the true false options. Fill in the blank, they do prompt you a little bit with these. I'm sorry, that's for multiples. Let me do that one first. So it gives you a little bit of direction here. So you have to set whatever your blank is going to be and call it something. So dogs name is, and then you'd have to say like, this is not grammatically correct, but that's fine. Dog 1 and close the bracket, and dog 2 and close the bracket. And then it changes, so you can use a drop down then and pick what your possible answers are. So maybe it's, Beckett's, and then Beckett with a capital. Um, and then maybe it's misspelled. So you can choose these, and you also get to see it in SpeedGrader too. So you can, if it doesn't capture one of these or somebody thinks of something that you didn't, you can still mark it correct. And then dog 2, and you can give the answers as well for multiple fill in the blanks. For a normal fill in the blank, you can just literally put a blank because there's only going to be one option there for your possible answers. So you can add as many as you need to for that. Let's see. Multiple drop downs, just that. It's gonna show them as a drop down. So you can do, kind of a list of prompts with blanks, and then they'll be able to pick from the drop down menu for each type. Matching is just matching. They'll kind of guide you through what you need to do, and we also have another whole other option of how to do these, which I'm going to show you in a second. So you're really gonna have to play around with these and see which ones you like, which ones work for you. Everything from essay question and up will automatically grade for you. The essay question and the file uploads obviously will not. You'll have to manually grade those portions or those questions of the quiz, but everything else will grade for you. And text is just the text box. So if you just wanted to give like, okay, from questions, 20 on, you're going to be using this resource or something like that. And it's just like a little banner in between those questions. And then groups. So you can do groups if you'd like to, if you want to create 50 questions and have it randomly pick 25, so everybody's not getting the same question. That's what you'd use group for. So you'd give it a name and you tell it how many questions you're going to pick and how much each one's worth. If you're not, which I think I've skipped, I don't remember talking about this, if you are assigning the points yourself, so maybe each question is going to have a different point value, you do that on the question type up at the top right. I think I skipped that when we were going through it, but you could have like this question be worth 3 points, and then your next one is worth 2 points, whatever the case may be, and it will total it for you at the top of what your quiz is worth. Like if this one's worth that was a text one, so there's no points associated with that. That one's worth 10. It'll keep totaling for you as you update it there. Take this last one, and then it'll keep the total for you, and that determines what your point value is for that quiz. If you're using questions from a different class, so like maybe you already built this quiz for a different section, if you're doing like a grad section and an undergrad section, you can just find them without having to redo everything. You'll just go in and select which course you want to pull it from and what questions you want there. Any questions before I jump over to new quizzes? So this is a classes quizzes. This is what Canvas used for 10 years. And then about 3 years ago, they designed a whole new way of doing it called New Quizzes. And I'll show you that in a second. It's a little more interactive, but just want to be sure you're good if there's nothing else. Oh, you can also preview it too. So this will bring you into student view and you'll see it exactly how your students see it. I didn't give any answers here, so they're all blank, but you would see you would see what they look like. And then you can submit it if you want to, but it doesn't matter. All right, so if you want to use New Quizzes, you'd have to turn that feature on. So you'd go into your settings for the course and go over to feature options, and then we're looking for New Quizzes. Here it is. And so we'll just enable that. And then this time when I go to quizzes and I pick a new quiz, it's going to prompt me. So if you're somebody who knows that you want to use New Quizzes always, you can select that and choose to remember your choice. If you're going to bounce between the two, I would say leave this blank and it'll just prompt you every time. This one's going to look a little different. You're going to give it a name, but your description and directions are going to be in the next thing. So you'll still give it your points, pick which group, how you want the grades to be displayed. If you're going to be using an external tool, so like if you're using like a Pearson quiz, you could do that as well. And who it's assigned to. And then you're going to build it this time. Once it loads, there we go. All right. All right, so it looks a little different. So the interface is different, but you still have the title and you can add your instructions and you'll get the rich content editor. So if you want to attach like maybe just a document, you could upload it. I keep pulling up the same assignment. Good. And then you're going to build it just a little different. So you'd hit the plus there and you'd be able to pick your type. So if you're going to do, like just do multiple choice to keep it easier. It just comes with different features. So you can still give every question has to be titled. So you can number them if you want to, or you can give them actual names of what the question is going to be and your STEM. So like, what's the question? Is today's date, whatever your STEM is going to be, and then your possible answers. And again, you can delete them. You can have comments if you want to. You can choose for each question if you want them to have a calculator. So the classic quizzes don't have these features. So it's just a little more options for you, but you still get to like shuffle the choices if you want to. You can choose to have a calculator for the whole exam in the settings if you don't want it for just individual questions. If you are somebody who uses outcomes, a couple of the colleges use outcomes for different departments. So you'll have to reach out to your chair to see if they're using them. And if so, we'll do a whole separate little one-on-one thing on how to link those. But you can also start building banks too. So like as you have questions saved, if you save, so you got to fill it all in. But once you fill everything in, you can choose to save it to a bank and make it easier for each time you build an exam. So like for future classes. And then the points would be at the bottom. I'm not going to run through every single one of these because we're going to run out of time. But your settings here will look a little different. You can, just toggle them on if there will be time limits, if you want the questions shuffled or if you want the answers shuffled. If you want the calculator for the whole exam, you can do that. If you want them to upload documents, multiple attempts, all those things have toggles instead. And the moderate tab here is similar, just looks a little different. So if they get additional temps or if they get extra time, or if you need to remove the time limits or whatever. So just little more features, and the reporting looks a little different too, because it'll group them and kind of create little graphs and charts for you for how, so you can see like so many of them getting question 6 wrong. What are they picking? And things like that. And then you could export the quiz to here if you're bringing this over to a different LMS. Also preview it and print it. I don't have anything in here yet, so it's not going to let me, but you'd be able to print with an answer key if you need to give it to another instructor, somebody's proctoring for you, or if you have somebody that has to take it on paper for an accommodation or for whatever reason, you could print just a blank one that they could write on then. But I don't have anything in here. With our last 5 minutes, I wanted to show you what SpeedGrader looks like. That's what our how you're going to view these assignments and grade them. Any questions though on classic quiz or new quizzes?
Nope.
All right, let's go into assignment 1. I put something in. Yes, I did. Okay, so we'll talk about rubrics in a second, but for how you're going to grade them. So got a few options. If you're somebody who likes to grade papers using like Microsoft Word or Adobe's annotation stuff, you can download these and it'll create a zip file for you. And then you'll be able to open them and use those. So let me just save it to my downloads. The longer the paper is and the more you have, the longer that'll take. So this was just my one Johnny test student that I threw something up here. But you'll notice it reassigns the file name to be the student's name, and then it's the course number and the student's number. I can't remember, those could be backwards, but it reassigns it exactly of how it would have to look for you to upload it then after you annotate it. So you could go through here and use all of your comments and everything and annotate it just like you would a normal. I enable editing, there we go. Like if you want to go through and, add comments different places. There we go. No. All right, I'm not going to worry about that. But if you want it, and then you'd save it. So once you go through all your annotations, save it exactly the same name. Yes, we want to replace it. And then we would re-upload that file once it's done. Let me get back in here. So once you've downloaded it and that goes away, you have re-upload here. And then you choose the same zip file that you downloaded and re-upload it, and it would replace the initial submission. Well, you'd still see the initial submission too, but it would bring your annotations into Canvas for the students to then be able to see it and download it themselves. Or you can use our built-in SpeedGrader, which comes with its own little annotation tools. So here you'd be able to like highlight things if you want to. You get to pick your colors. So you can have different colors for different things if you want. You can leave comments, like, maybe check spelling or something, whatever you want to do. You can add text as well. So like you could, look closer at the sentence, whatever it may be. And then strike things out too. So if you want to just cross out words, whatever it may be. Oops. You can draw too as well on these. So like if it's a math assignment that they're uploading, sometimes it's a little easier to, just circle things. Or you can do a whole box off this whole paragraph and then leave a comment about it. So you'll have to play around with this and get a little familiar with which ones work for you. And then what's really nice is you can then download the annotated PDF too. So if you ever had, a student that was questioning something and you want to look at it together, you could download it. Or if you, heaven forbid, had to go before the academic integrity board, you'd be able to download and say, well, this is what was submitted and this was the feedback I gave. And you can also leave comments off to the left here. It looks like I started a comment, so I'm just going to delete it. But you do have the rich content editor. You can adjust this. So same content editor that you have before. You can choose to also record something. So if you want to just give them verbal feedback, you can do that. But also do a video if you wanted to. For any reason, you could upload something. You could record your screen with a screen capture. I'm not going to use it because my camera's being used in Zoom right now. But those are options for you too. You could attach files if you wanted to. And then this little comment button here is a comment library. You would have to build this yourself, but if you use the same comments often, like CommaSplice or something, you could add these to your library to then be able to insert them into your comments. Just saves you time a little bit. But you have to build that out yourself. So we are at the time limit. I was going to show you rubrics too. Do you have a few minutes or do you need to get going?
No, I have a few minutes.
Okay. So I'm going to show you what a rubric looks like in grading, and then I'll show you how you build them. So any questions on SpeedGrader before I dive into rubrics actually?
No, it looks great. I love it.
Yeah, it's really nice. You just really gotta kind of play around with it for a little bit, and then but you can click through all your students. I mean, I only have one student in here. But you'd be able to click through them all and also see like as a drop down, you can like jump down. So if you had a whole list, you'd be able to scroll through it, or you can just click through to the next, so so rubrics, I'll show you how to build them in a second, but you can attach them to the files to the assignments to then use as grading. So this is just one that I had in one of my sandboxes. So I chose to turn this on for grading, which means, as you can see, as I hover here, I can click and it's going to then assign the points. And it always defaults to the maximum. So you could change it. Like if you wanted this to be 24, you could change it. But it's nice if you have it set specifically, it helps speed things along. And it totals the points then for you at the bottom. So this person would then get 86 out of 100. And I can leave comments on each individual section too. So like you had something you needed to say here just for this one, or you could do a general comment at the very bottom overall. But it's nice once you get them set up. So I'm going to show you how to set them up, and then we can flip back over here and look at how you use them. So I've already linked this rubric to this assignment. If you click on your rubrics tab, it'll show you any rubrics that you already have in your course. Yours will obviously be blank unless someone shared one with you. But you would click rubric off to the right. You do have to build it the first time. Some departments have rubrics ready to go that you can just find or someone can share with you, and I can help you with that too if you've got one. But you'd give it a name, and then you would always comes up with its first criteria, and then 2 points, and you can pick to add as many as you need to. So the short description is typically, like maybe grammar or something like that. And then you could give like a little bit more of a longer description if you need to. And then you can add as many points as you need to. It's going to pop up each time for you to add them. Maybe the section is only worth 10 points max. And you can call full marks, you can call whatever you want. So like full credit, whatever terms work for you. Again, add as many descriptions as you want to. You do have to have a title for each section though, like full credit or no mark. And then you can pick what your lowest is. Same thing. And if you need to add more in between, it typically cuts it in half. So since I did 10, it would do 5. But if I know I want to do multiple, you could do that and just kind of keep building it. And then there you go. As you want to add criteria, you'll be able to choose. Do you want to duplicate the one you already have? Because maybe the points are all staying the same and we're just changing the title. We could do that. And then we could do, whatever. And if there's more to it, but it'll then just duplicate everything to make it a little quicker for you. If your department's using outcomes, this is where you'd find them. This course is just a sandbox course, so there's nothing linked to it, but I would show you individually if you need to. But that's something you'll have to talk with your department to see if they're using them or not. And you keep going and it'll total the points for you. And whenever you're done, you just hit create. And then as soon as you have the rubric created, you'll go into your assignments here. And I should say you can edit this rubric until you link it to assignment. Once it's linked to an assignment, you won't be able to edit it. You'll be able to duplicate it though. If you do need to make changes, that you have to unlink it from the assignment to then make changes and then relink it. Just a little annoying, but it's because they want you to make sure that it's going with the assignment and everything is correct. I get why they're doing it, but sometimes it annoys me. Oh, that one already had one. Let me grab a different assignment. Okay, assignment 2. So you'll see down at the bottom, my other one had a rubric, but now it has a button to add a rubric. So I'll be able to create one here if I want to, or find one that I already have in my class. And again, you'll see your other classes here. I'll see all of Niagara universities, but we're going to just pull from the new one. But like if you want to pull, like maybe you made the same rubric in the graduate level of your course, you could go into that course and pull it over. So once you make it once, you have it available to all your classes. And then be able to use it. And I'm going to click on the edit because you'll be able to decide how you want to use it. So if you want to write comments, it's going to leave it blank, but keep the points. So then you'll be able to put comments in. If you want to remove the points, but keep the descriptions, you can do that as well. Outcomes of learning mastery. We're going to talk about this a little bit more, the learning mastery grade book, when we do grades next week. So I'm going to skip that guy for right now. But assignment grading is what I did, where I was able to click through it and it assigned the points for it. So that was what you'd pick if you're going to use that feature. Or you can also choose to hide the total points if you don't want the students to see what it is. I don't really know why you would do that, but somebody must have wanted it along the line because it's an option. So, and then yeah, so it's going to prompt me because it's my assignments worth 100 and this is only totaling 20. So I can either change or I can leave them different. I'm just going to leave them different for now. Because you could use, rubrics are only part of it, the points, and then not, and then, maybe their points are from some other portion of the assignment. That automatically will then appear over here when you go into the course, and then you can start clicking and adding and whatever the case may be. So, all right, it's a lot of information. Do you have any general questions?
Well, yes, I do have one on sharing. So let's say I get that rubric done and I wanted to share it with another professor doing the same class. Is there a way to do that through here?
So no, you're gonna have to reach out to me and I'm gonna share it
Okay.
for you. So you can. So when you go into the person who you're sharing it with would have to go into their course and import the content. And then they'd have to pick that they're copying a Canvas course. They'd have to find the course and then select the specific content that they're doing and pick just that rubric. Typically, we just do it for professors. So I would say if you know somebody that wants to use it or if someone's sharing it with you, just shoot me an email and I'll copy it over for you. Yeah.
Perfect. And if there's another question I had about more being that able to share, like if like I'm just thinking of, as I'm making things, I can add another teacher onto my course, then they would have access to just the assignments, but not specifically the rubric or something like that, correct?
So as soon as you add another teacher to your course, they can see the whole course. So
Okay.
a lot of times, like faculty, since you're new, a lot of times you'll have like a mentor that'll add you to their courses so you can see what they're doing. And typically they do that when they're allowing you to take stuff. If not, they might ask me to add you as an observer, in which case you can only see it, but you wouldn't be able to copy it over or anything like that. So there's different levels. So it just depends on what you want to do. So if you add them as an instructor, they have full reign. They can see your grades. They could change your grades if they wanted to. They could take things out. Observer, they can only see things, and it's limited on what they can see. So the other option too is if you're willing to give everything, we copy, or like give certain things, we copy it for you from your course to theirs. But we need that in, like, you'd have to send me an email saying, please copy blah 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 to blah blah blah.
Got it. Okay.
And we're going to talk more about grades. We have a whole segment on grades next week. But anytime there's something that's an assignment that's graded, so if it's a discussion and it's graded, if it's a quiz and it's graded, an assignment, that's going to create a column for you in your grade book. A little different than like if you're somebody who works a different LMS, like D2L and Blackboard, you have to like add your columns, or at least you used to have to last time I used them. But these create it for you. And we're going to do a whole little, because it's just a lot to keep to, like, we kind of broke it up into little segments. So we'll do a whole grade segment next week. Anything else you can think of? I'm going to stop the recording. If you have any individual questions, let me get that stopped.